Good morning and welcome back to the Radio Workshop. Today I have Roberts R550 to look at. This came to me with a collection in total of 4 radios. So this is the Roberts R550. I've also got a Roberts R404 to look at, an R200 to look at, and one of the original Ramblers, not the Rambler 2. But first of all, we're going to look at the Roberts R550, just because it's the physically biggest one and the one that I'm most comfortable about having a look at the moment. As you can see from the grill here, it's got a ding on the grill. It's very, very, very dirty on top. These have all come to me as for parts or not working and cost me the princely sum of £19 for the 4 radios, £18.99 from a popular online auction site. So for parts or not working, I'm expecting that somebody's maybe plugged this in with the wrong adapter and it's blown the audio chip. That's what usually happens. I see that more often than not. But it has come with a battery in it, although it's not connected. So I'll go ahead and just have a look at that. I'll take the battery out. Just move the out of the way. Ever ready silver, so it's not too old. Expiry date on the bottom, 0715. What I'll do is just looking for just something I knocked up yesterday to just to fill in a little bit of time, is just to test the battery. Won't tell me the voltage, but I can't find what I've done with it. I'll come back to that in a moment because I do want to go through that, what I actually did yesterday. So I'll make sure that if I spot it, I'll come back to it straight away, but for all intents and purposes, can't find it. Right, so I'll apply some power. I've got a Roberts mains adapter already here, just to see the state of affairs. As I say, I'll make sure it's switched off. Tone switch, FM selected, the tuning string, yeah, it is connected. So there we go, we've got some power. 3, 2, 1.
Hashtag Devon, hashtag upturn. Many people go through the same kind of scenario.
It works.
It's stereophonics.
Got a Scratchy volume control. Yeah, Scratchy volume control. It is tuning. Let's just try medium flavour. And then to 909.
But with all due respect, what you put to me at the beginning of the program.
Yeah, that's good. And long wave on 252. Not expecting to pick up an awful lot on long wave in the Man Lab. It is there, it's just really quiet.
We can ask the referee to start deciding which one. David, thanks for calling us.
Yeah, there we go.
Come on, it's fine.
So it is working. Scratchy volume pot. Happy days. So remove the power. Still trying to spot what I did with my gadget that I knocked up yesterday. But I will come back to that. Right, so I need to remove those screws from the backing board. My favourite screwdriver. So again, the R550 it's a bit of a wolf in sheep's clothing, really. It is identical to the R250 radio wise. It's just in a physically bigger case. The actual radio inside there is interchangeable between the R250 and vice versa. Similarly, and what a lot of people don't realise, is the R250 and the R550 being identical are also identical to the R757. It's just the top plate, the dial plate, that is different. So if you need a donor radio for one of these or an R250, rather than buying one in, look at the R757 first, because the R757, being identical, is a heck of a lot cheaper to buy. You'd probably pick one up for somewhere around £10 on eBay. You know, if you need a donor radio. Now I need to get to that volume switch, so it's all going to come out. The one thing that I don't like about the R550 is the way that the aerial is fitted inside the case. The aerial is here, and when you try and remove the radio from the chassis, this really interferes, because you can't normally get a screwdriver under there. But what I've just noticed by putting my finger on there is that screw's already loose anyway, so that should make it a heck of a lot easier. It'll just be a bit of a git to put back in. There is another screw on the other shoulder board. So there's one on the left and one on the right that just hold the shoulder boards onto the radio case. Two screws on the side that hold the radio into the case. Comes apart almost identical to the R550, the difference being that the shoulder screws are physically longer than the R250, so they aren't interchangeable. If you try and put one of the longer ones, for instance, into an R250, it will damage the radio if you screw it in, because it's physically longer, and it'll damage the inside of the radio. And the shorter ones from the R250, if you put them into an R550, won't actually nip up. They won't. You won't be able to screw it in. So they're the only part really that isn't interchangeable. Let's see if I can get my screwdriver to that screw on the bottom, because that is quite loose. It's just, otherwise they genuinely are a git to get out, because remove the shoulder board from the side of there, put that on one side, and then you kind of have to manipulate the aerial to withdraw it from the case, and it is quite an art. I've struggled with these on numerous occasions. So I'll remove the aerial screw, pop that on one side. I have a habit of losing aerial screws. And remove the aerial, and that is the radio out of the case. Still attached to the power, still attached to the speakers, but now we can get to the volume switch, probably on this occasion just with some switch cleaner. Switch cleaner for general use, by the way. I bought this Unipart. It's 400ml, I think, or 500ml. I bought 12 of these for 50p a tin. But for general use and for volume switches, let's put a drizzle. Into the switch. It literally is just a drizzle that you need, and then you can just work it round. One can of that for doing things like this will last an eternity. And then just work the switch several times and you'll actually start to physically feel it free up and move a lot quicker. And that's when you know that the liquid has penetrated inside the switch. Just work it one way to the other several times. And then whilst it's out of the case, we'll pop some beans back in it. That's much better. Problem solved. Yep, problem solved. So now you can go ahead and really struggle at getting this radio back into the case. Actually, while it's in pieces, I'll disconnect the speaker. Might as well do this while I'm in there. Where's my small pointy pliers? And the speaker wires doesn't want to come off. There we go. I'll remove the power, pop the case on one side. Look how filthy that is. No wonder the volume pot was scratchy. And then it is a case of removing this top plate, just for normal annual cleaning. Yeah, quite dusty in there. I'll give that a blowout with some compressed air, which I have got now. I couldn't find what I'd done with that the other day, but I just use a general cleaner, some sort of Mr. Muscle or Sillet Bang or whatever. I have got some industrial cleaner. Sean was asking about industrial strength cleaner for cleaning cases the other day, and I do have some, but it might be a little bit too abrasive for a plastic top plate. Let's give it a good clean. Particularly easy to work on is the R250, R550, R757. They're all much of a muchness, but when they look good, they look good. This is just sun bleach and you'll never get rid of that, but actually I think the original colour, which is the lighter colour, compared to the darker colour, I actually prefer the darker colour. I'll get some compressed air and I'll just blow that out, and I'll give the gold finish there a wipe over as well. I have got an airline as well. That's a little bit overkill for just doing this. A compressor. And just get my cloth again. Just give the inside of that a wipe over. Now, while it's in pieces, I take these off and clean these as well. The wave change and the tone switch. However, they already look pretty clean. Usually they're a bit dirty, a bit grubby, where people have, you know, pressed them over the years and lots of skin residue and stuff, but that actually looks absolutely tip top. So they're fine. So I'll just go ahead and put the top plate back on. Press it all of the way around. They are adhesive backed, and the adhesive does stay sticky. Now, look at they're not quite as shiny as they should be. Again, sometimes just a general cleaner will bring them back and get rid of the grime that's built up on top of them and make them shiny-ish again. They never go back to how they were. And then just give it a buff up with a soft cloth. And it starts to look a little something like a bit more mirror. I do like to go to town on these things and make them sparkle if I can. Put a bit more cleaner on that. I'll actually work an old toothbrush around it just to get into the nooks and crannies, and then give it another buff up. Don't be tempted to buff it with anything, you know, you don't need anything super fantastic. This is just general Mr. Muscle cleaner, just for cleaning the switch tops. If you go at these too much, instead of gold they end up silver and don't look quite right. But it's an old radio, and I like old radios to look like they've had a life. I like them to look like they've been used, but I also like them to look like they've been cared for. So if we compare those now, I'll make this one do the same as well. What I'm actually using to clean this on the top isn't actually Mr. Muscle, it's my switch cleaner. And just put a tiny drizzle on the top and just leave it to soak around, turn it around so it covers the whole of the switch, and just leave it a nano moment, and then as soon as you wipe, whatever's on there starts to come away. And it's not too abrasive for cleaning the switch tops. For cleaning the plastic, you know, because sometimes these are quite grubby where people have twizzled them around, then I do use the Mr. Muscle stuff, because the Mr. Muscle stuff removes skin and nicotine and all the other nasty stuff that you usually find on older radios. Just noticed as well that this one isn't as glued down as it should be, so I'm going to end up putting a spot of glue on this as well. If I get my spudger tool, I should be able to lift the switch top off. I did notice it just, yeah, it's rocking, so that's got potential just to come off by itself. So rather than allowing that to happen, there we go. I'll just put a spot of glue on there and I'll put the bright back on. I use just a spot of super glue, tiniest spot. And it will never come back off again, and then just carry on with the polishing once you put it back together. Alternatively, one of the other solutions, you know, if you need it done quicker, if like me you've got a pot full of Roberts switches, various types, there's probably a shiny one in there, unless I've used them. Yeah, there's several in this bag, 4 there. Just swap them over and clean them at your leisure then, when you've got a little bit of downtime. But for all intents and purposes, this is going to look okay when it's done. And give it a buff up with a soft lint free cloth. And there we go. 2 shinies. Put those back on. Sometimes they are handed, you'll find that one doesn't quite fit, it's too loose. But if you swap them over, turn, you know, swap them around, it does improve. The tuning one doesn't always like to sit flush either. It doesn't always like to play the game. And that's usually, again, because they are handed. Just swap them round. You don't realise that they're handed until you try and pop them on. It's quite a struggle, that one. I'll just have a look at the inside of that switch. Another go. Yeah, it's still not sat as flush as it should be on the volume side either. Nevertheless, that's that back together. Put these things on one side and grab the case again. Well, the case will need a clean, and I do use the degreaser for that, because that removes everything. I've also got, thankfully, some green shoe cream. Green shoes. Ugh. Put the shoulder board back into that side. Connect up the speakers. Let's make sure of the polarity. Inside the 550 we've got an 8 ohm 3 to 5 watt speaker, and it actually does come in at about 4 watts. I've measured these before. And then there's a tricky case, fitting this in to the recess at the top. Shoulder board out on this one and just match that up. Hold the radio in and try and put the board in separately. It is an acquired knack, this, and I've been doing these years and everyone's different. None of them are the same. Attach the power while I'm here as well. Yeah, they all have their finickies for going back in the case. They are quite a snug fit. Sometimes a little bit of help is needed. Sorry, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just levering the shoulder board because that isn't wanting to sit in there. There we go. That's one. These can be really the easiest sets in the world to work on, with the caveat I'm getting ahead of myself. I will pop in the aerial, otherwise I won't be able to screw it in. I should learn to never do this stuff on video. It never goes well. Just lost, just lost the shoulder board, and I've just lost the screw. The pressures of video, huh? Slow it right down. Genuinely not having a lot of fun with this one, just putting it back together. It's just not happening. You do get days like this. Right. Try and match that over there so that the aerial wire doesn't ping off again. Really not having any fun matching that up with that. momentary pause there because my camera only records for 25 minutes and then packs up. I have to start the recording again. We've got that aerial screw lined up now, and the aerial screw in nice and tight, and now it is the god awful case of getting this back in to there. It's the only drawback this with the R550 is that it is a git to get back in to the case. That's the radio physically into the case, but it needs to sit much higher. By Jove, I think we've got it. Heck of a struggle with that then. No, not quite. We're not quite over far enough. The R550 compared to the R250 is a better sounding radio. It's a bigger case, and it has the baffle on the back door. Which does improve the sound. Right, we're in. We should be able to get this back together really quite quickly, and I'm saying that with confidence. Just hold the board. As you screw these back in, they do tend to want to come away from the side. And I have clamped these before, but to clamp them means taking off the back door. So I prefer the brute force method. Like so. See, it's because I said quite quickly, isn't it? That's all it is. I said quite quickly, and that's obviously not going to be the case. Yeah, that's... We're good. And, oops, one at the other side. And the backboard. Making sure to trap the wires in the recess. Well, not trap them, but route them. Small brass screws. That's 2. I'm doing well. I'm counting. And I haven't got it wrong so far. I usually use one of these. I usually lose one of these too. still see them all. Bonus. Apologies if my arm's in the way. And the last one. I've still not spotted my little gadget that I made yesterday just for checking, I'll tell you what it is now, for checking polarities. But it also gives you an indication of whether a battery might have some juice in it. So now, got the 2 shoulder screws to put back in. The last one, and then we can give this one some beans and put this one to bed. See, that hole there's not matching up. Oh, the joys of doing these things on video. Nope, not happening. It's going to have to come apart again. It's that side. We'll get there. British Rail once said that we're getting there. I don't think they ever actually did. That's why they went bust. Right, yeah, I'm going to have to take the whole board out of the back again. Just because this board that I was having, this shoulder board here, it's come away again. Wasn't having much fun with it. It's not sitting correctly, so we'll line up the shoulder screw now. I can adjust that board. There we are. And then pop the screw back in the side. Again, it's coming away. That's got it. Now the shoulder screw fits in lovely, never too tight, just until it starts to nick. And then we'll go for the backboard again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice radios, really. The R250, R550, R757. I do like them. Easy to work on when you're not doing them on video. There's the back of the radio. I'll give it some beans.
Knowing I love you so.
Taking care not
By
to
looking back to his childhood,
play.
drawing on gypsy dances he used to hear when he grew up in a town in northern Hungary. The great stuff on the dark web.
How are you feeling now? Are you hydrated?
You can never be too hydrated. So you can drown. But I need to have some more water, but I'm actually quite on this at the moment.
X. The Vauxhall SUV event is now on until the 4th of March. Do not attempt to fight the FOMO. Please locate your wallet and calmly make your way to your nearest Vauxhall retailer.
Think of Louis where our family helped you.
Thursday, March the 7th, London's Hammersmith Eventum Apollo.
Yeah, anyway, there, we're all good, we're done. Took a little bit longer than I thought it would, but it's done. Just had a dirty volume switch. All nice and physically clean on the top. I've just got the casing to give a clean and a buff up. Really should have done that impression on the grill as well. Maybe I might do that at a later date. But there we go. Roberts R550, done, working. I've got 3 other radios to do this week, whether I'll do them today or I might have a look at one today, or whether I just pick one different days of this week. There's the R404, the R200 and the original Rambler. So there, thanks very much, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.